Hello there, friends, and welcome back to more Bravely Default. Last time, we took a look at everything there was to talk about regarding AR movies, the special movie that teases Bravely Second, and some interesting information regarding the Norende Village stuff. Mostly talking about demos, special outfits, and some of the unique fights. While I was not able to physically show off most of them, that's what today is for, as there are still a few I never talked about, and we're going to be going over them today, to finally put an end to Norende Village once and for all. It's been a long time coming, 97 episodes, wow. You may be looking at Idia here, and she's looking a little different. That is because I'm actually on another file. A file that, is a little bit more optimized for fighting super powerful bosses. One that I've dumped well over 200 hours into to max out every single job on every single character. I've gone through the game multiple times, and you may be looking at these level 99 stats and being like, why do you have like 3,000 more HP on Idia than you do on your other level 99 file? Well, that's because of a special little item that called the Bun items. These are obtained by killing these special battles in Norende Village, and that includes the enemies we'll be taking a look at today. Utilizing some of these buns, you can increase your character's stats, with the Unearthly Bun increasing stats, every single stat for one party member, and then there are stat-specific buns that will increase the player's stats. I'm a little redundant right now. To a varying degree, sometimes raising it by 1, up to raising it by 3 points entirely. It allows you to super buff your characters, and it can give you the ability to make a really strong individual regardless of what job they're on. Hell, if you have enough strength buns, you can make a white mage fight with a sword and do maximum damage without any effort. It's pretty wild. Obviously, that requires a lot of buns, and I do not have that many. I've just had enough to get up to past 9,999 HP. Honestly, the HP increase is not as big of a deal as the MP increase, as you can see. Having 2,200 MP on a Conjurer is insane. You don't even need stuff like Steady MP Recover. But my stats aren't exactly what we're here for. What we are here for is the Norende Village enemies. Now, you are able to hold up to 7 Nemesis enemies in your Norende Village at once. And it so happens that there is a group of 7 super bosses that all have a similar theme that I have kept on this file for this exact playthrough. And we'll be going over them one by one today. We're fighting 7 super bosses today. Oh dear. So to keep this simple, we're going to be going in alphabetical order, and just so you know, there are multiple versions of each boss that I'm going to be going over. However, I'll be fighting the hardest version of each boss on hard mode to kind of keep up with my super insane stats on this file. So that's kind of what we're going to be going with here. I think to start off today, we should look at the first team composition that I will be running, as most of these fights will require a very interesting strategy that we haven't really seen before. So first things first, Idia is on Conjurer. She'll be running Black Magic as her job command. She has Two-Handed, Phantom Weapon, and Status Ailment Amp. The strategy I'll be utilizing for this first boss is going to be utilizing Poison, which is something that I tried to use in an earlier battle, but it never really worked out. But hey, I'll be utilizing it here today. In terms of her gear, she's running the Foxtail, the Ribbon, the Brave Suit, and the Soul of Thamasa. Every single character here is going to be running the Brave Suit. And if you were wondering, yes, I do have the Cadet uniform on this file. I said in the previous episode that this was Japan only, but thankfully, this I can get through funny means by having a Japanese copy. Now, there are, again, a few other means by getting this, but I'm not going to go over that because I don't want to get in trouble. Agnes is going to be wearing the Vestal Garb. Now, this is something you can obtain in the English release. You just have to have beaten the normal ending, which ends with battling Eri, and you can obtain this outfit pretty easily. Tiz is wearing the Dimensional Garb, which is my favorite look for him. This is, again, something that is normally Japanese only, but if you have access to any of those codes that you could redeem or merchandise that you've bought, these codes still work. Ring a Bell is going to be on the Melodist shirt, which is just a Norende Village item for the English releases, so this is not very difficult to grab for you. These will be the outfits I run for this episode, but again, I do have every single outfit, as you can see, on the item list here, but I'm not going to be going over them just yet. But getting back on topic here, let's go ahead and take a look at Agnes. She's on Performer, with her job command being Miscellany. Now, I haven't actually equipped her support abilities yet, as really they're not needed. But singing and Miscellany, she's going to be a powerful BP battery, constantly spamming BP. And, of course, she has the Brave Suit on, so we have that extra BP to start out. She's also utilizing the Ice Charm, as mitigating ice damage is going to be pretty important. This can be swapped out for a lot of different things, especially when it comes to mitigating certain elements. I think actually what I'm going to do is... Nah, I'm going to keep with the Ice Charm on. Ice is pretty dangerous here. Tiz is on Salve Maker, and he's running Holy Arts as his job command, with BP limit up, item critical, and speed 30% up. He's mostly going to be spamming Rampart and certain MP recovery items if he needs to. He also will have access to Resurrect, which is a powerful raise. In terms of his gear, Yatagarasu, which is just to erase his evasion even higher than it already is, and the Ice Flame Shield, which is to mitigate fire and water damage. Again, Brave Suit, very powerful. Hermes Shoes to make his speed as high as possible, so he has the potential of going first. Ring a Bell is on Spearmaster, sub-jobbing White Mage. Nothing new for him here. Running Holy One, Default Guard, BP, Limit Up, and Magic Critical. This is mostly to have him spam stuff like Enigma, Stillness, Fairy's Ward, and whatnot, while having the ability to heal the party if need be. Running Brave Suit, Ice Charm, Gold Hairpin, pretty simple stuff. This composition mostly bases itself around Idia applying a dot to the enemy, and then just focusing on survival from that point onward. Again, I'll be battling all of these bosses on hard mode, and I'm going to be going in alphabetical order, so time to meet our first super boss. First up on the list is Asmodeus. Every single one of these 7 bosses are part of a specific theme. Each of them represent one of the 7 deadly sins, with our good old friend Asmodeus here representing lust. Also, in terms of their design, each of these bosses are from the Final Fantasy, the 4 Heroes of Light, which again, Bravely Default is a spiritual successor of. And the music you hear in the background is a remixed version of the boss theme from that game. So hey, you know, we get some really good references here. These fights are obtained through Street Pass or updating your online file from for Norende Village. Asmodeus here, as he is the representative of lust, you can probably tell what ailment he's going to be utilizing. Charm is one of his main gimmicks, so having access to Fairy's Ward is going to be very important here, or just equipping rebuff lockets for charm immunity. Now, that is not his main gimmick, but it is a very important one to keep in mind here. Agnes is going to be spamming my hero here so we can keep our BP as high as possible. Hammer is Asmodeus' main way of dealing physical damage. I'm utilizing Poison here with Idia, as Poison works very weird on Asmodeus, as he takes 10% of his maximum HP as damage from Poison, which is something that is not intended, but honestly, if you're going up against the strongest version of Asmodeus, go ahead and use this. It basically sets Asmodeus on a 10-turn limit before you have to kill him, and with Asmodeus' other gimmick, he also has a turn limit before he instant kills you, so I think all is fair here. I'm actually going to have Idia default here, and we're going to utilize Examine here with Agnes, so we have a better understanding of how much damage we actually are doing to him. Tiz here, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and re-up Rampart, as I lost it on Tiz. And then Ring a Bell, we're going to go ahead and cast Enigma, as Asmodeus has access to very powerful magic attacks. These Nemesis bosses are also the main way of obtaining the final few remaining genome abilities that are not marked down in the D's Journal. The dodge spells from the elemental wield. Fire-aja, Blizz-aja, Thund-aja, and Arrow-aja. Or Arrow-aja. I actually don't know how to pronounce that one. So if you want to have access to those spells, you need to go into the Nemesis battles, and take them down. Asmodeus here is weak to water and wind, so multiple weaknesses, that's always nice. We're going to have Idia spam ice magic, or water magic. And then we're going to have Anyas again spam my hero. Don't worry about the BP deficit here. Having extra BP is really the main issue here. Asmodeus, in its harder iteration, which is the one I'm fighting, if he decides to default, he has the ability Slow and Steady, which is the Swordmaster's support ability that every single time you default, your speed is increased by 50%. Asmodeus uses this to increase his speed to roughly 150. Here's Asmodeus' main gimmick, Call of the Infernal, where he will send someone into the Infernal Realm, which is the area we fought Ouroboros in. If someone is called into the Infernal Realm, they are put out of battle. They will still increase their BP and whatnot, but they can no longer act. And whenever they're sent back after a certain amount of turns, they will be automatically charmed. Now, in the harder versions of this encounter, Asmodeus has the chance of utilizing Call of the Infernal on every single party member if you are super unlucky, meaning there is a chance that he can instantly wipe your team within 2 to 4 turns, which is pretty bad. So we're going to be trying to avoid that as much as possible. Tiz again is going to spam Rampart. Actually, have we lost Rampart yet? Yeah, we have. Okay. We utilized Rampart there, and then Ring of Bell's going to re-up Fairy Ward. Again, the idea here is to mitigate as much damage as humanly possible. As AoE Charm and AoE Thund-aja, they hurt like a freaking truck. And other than that, we just have to outlast him. Again, Call of the Infernal is pretty annoying, but hopefully we don't have too many issues with that. There's Release, sent back Idia. She is again charmed. Hopefully the poison doesn't wear off in time. We're going to go ahead and start spamming my hero again. This is again to keep our BP up as much as humanly possible. We're going to re-up Rampart now that Idia is back on the field. And we're going to use Ring of Bell to just cast Asunaga to cleanse Charm from Idia. We're going to speed things up now. This is generally the idea here. Outlast Asmodeus and he won't do much to us. He's putting Idia back in the timeout corner, I guess. That's okay. I guess he's pissed off that Idia poisoned him. That's alright. We again are just planning on outlasting him. So we can just default, we can set up Rampart again. Actually, there's not really any reason to. So I guess we'll cast Enigma. Again, this is hard mode. There's Venomous Sting. That has a chance of applying poison to the target. Obviously, because we have Rampart, we're not going to be worrying about that damage. You may be like, oh, well, why are you cheesing this encounter? Trust me, you want to cheese these hard encounters. They are difficult for a reason, and they're here to allow you to experiment with the combat system. If you are able to cheese these guys without much issue, then, hey, pat yourself on the back. If you want to have a real challenge, honestly, the biggest thing I would suggest you do is don't bring Spirit Master, as Spirit Master kind of invalidates most of these encounters. But I'm a little bit of a coward, so I'm not doing that. We're going to go ahead and re-up Rampart, as I think... I have a feeling that Idia's going to show up again. So for Ring a Bell, I guess we can just default, I guess. The extra BP that I've put on Tiz and Ring a Bell is mostly to allow them to spam BP abilities quite often. There's Call the Infernal for Tiz, so now 2 people are gone. But Asmodeus is going down next turn, so we can just default and watch him kill himself. And there we go. Asmodeus is down. Again, it's mostly about stalling the encounter. If you want to fight him legitimately, just set up your team to have a lot of ice or wind damage and just beat the crap out of him. He has a lot of health. And for killing him, we get the Vitality Bun and MP Booster Bun. Again, this is how you obtain the items, the buns, to raise your stats beyond their normal limits. Now, for this next fight, I actually will be keeping with the same composition. However, how we go about this next fight will be very different. Again, all 7 of these encounters have their own unique gimmick that you need to watch out for, but this build right here, it was specifically made to battle the first 2 demons we went up against. So, let's meet our second boss. Next up is Belphegor, the representation of Sloth. Now, I'm not gonna mince words. Belphegor's design is easily one of my favorite things ever. It's just a little weasel thing on a chair. It's so freaking cool. I mean, it basically is a sloth on a chair because he's lazy. I don't know. I think it's a perfect representation of Sloth. Asmodeus' lust design, I'm a little questionable about. I don't really know how Asmodeus is represented by snakes, as normally in most depictions of Asmodeus, he's not a snake. But Belphegor here, I like the new interpretation of Belphegor here. We're gonna go ahead and start off by examining Belphegor, as his weakness is such an important part of this encounter. Other than that, we're going to be applying Rampart, and we're going to be instantly applying Enigma. Belphegor's main gimmick is to spam every single, well, not every single, but a lot of very powerful Aja spells at you. Again, if you want to learn these spells, Belphegor is not a bad place to learn them. Now, Belphegor does not have a super duper powerful version of his battle, so we're kind of just fighting the normal version of him. Which, I mean, 337,000 HP is still way more than Ouroboros had, or Aerie for that matter, so we're still kind of fighting an uphill battle here. Belphegor's main gimmick is that his weakness changes every single time you deal damage to him, and the only way you can deal damage to him is by hitting his weakness. He absorbs every other form of damage. So, the main idea here is to have a Black Mage, as he will cycle between having a water weakness, a thunder weakness, and a fire weakness. So, basically what you want to do is constantly swap between them every single time you deal damage. That's going to be the main way you deal damage here. Other than that, though, the main idea here is to survive. Eventually, you'll deal enough damage to take him down, but this is, because he's the Sloth boss, of course he has to slow down encounters to a screeching halt by forcing you to basically attack with one character at a time, and only deal so much damage each turn. Again, we did not do very much damage to him, but that's how this fight goes. Diffusion Ray, that is a AoE attack that is non-elemental, which means it goes through our nullification, which means we do need to keep an eye on our HP. It isn't that big of a deal, but it is something we need to be careful of. We are not spamming Blizzaga, we're going Thundaga, again, then Firaga, then Blizzaga, and then Thundaga again. That is how you have to deal with this. It's a little annoying, but trust me, it's worth it. My hero, you can potentially go with like 2 attackers and just manipulate their speed a little bit, but I am not confident that I can do that in a safe way, so I am not going to do that. We're going to have Tiz actually widen area here, an X Potion. He is on Southmaker, so this will be about a 3,000 HP heal. And then Ringabel, we're going to go ahead and do Fairy Ward, just so we can nullify as much ailments or damage as we can. My hero's re-upping our BP here, and then we're going to start spamming spells. Bravely Second also works wonderfully here. If you have access to Bravely Second and you can utilize a full SP bar, I would recommend it. Buff up one of your characters to as much damage to do as much damage as they can. Use them in Bravely Second and just try to deal 300,000 damage in one quick go. We're going to have Tiz here. We'll have him default, I guess, and we'll have Ringabel heal everyone up here. Firaga will be more than enough to heal us up. There we go. There's Sloth. That's his main gimmick. Sloth is basically a Ixadia, where it will swap all of your buffs for debuffs. So you just need to be ready to mitigate that. Either by outlasting Belphegor's incoming damage with Stillness, or by overriding your debuffs with your own buffs. Again, we're going to kind of cycle around here. We're going to use Anyas to spam my hero. I think that'll be what? 4, 3, 2. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then we're going to have Tiz here. Tiz is kind of in a weird spot, as I don't really know what to do with you. I think what I will do is maybe apply re-raise to ring a bell, just in case. And then we're going to just overwrite the weaknesses with Enigma. Thankfully, Belphegor does not have a lot of speed in this version of his encounter, so we can kind of just naturally outspeed him. We're going to speed things up here. This is pretty much most of his fight. He does have one more gimmick that I'm sure we're going to see here fairly soon. Summon Sphere, there it is. He summons 3 ads. Each of them also have their own weakness that you need to worry about. So, and one of them is weak to fire, one of them is weak to water, one of them is weak to lightning. Find their weakness and exploit it. If you don't, the spheres are basically just mini Belphegors. They deal a lot of very powerful magical damage, they have a little bit of physical attack power, and after a certain amount of turns, they just explode. With the build that I have right now, though, I'm honestly just going to kind of ignore them. So he'll then swap over to Thunder, then he'll go to Fire. I'm trying to keep in mind what his weaknesses are and what they're going to swap to, because I do not want to mess it up. If you deal damage to him and you're not hitting his weakness, he heals for how much damage you deal, so you want to be very careful. We're going to use Rampart here with Tiz now that the spheres are out on the field, and we're going to have Ring a Bell default. Unfortunately, I will have to inevitably deal with the whole spheres exploding thing, which is not something I'm looking forward to, but we'll worry about that in a second. There's Thundaja. Hammer on Idia. Unfortunately, the Aja spells did go through Rampart, but we were okay. We're gonna have Anya's default, actually. We're gonna re-up Rampart once again, and we're gonna have Ring a Bell heal up the party. Physical attack power is pretty dangerous, but hopefully we don't have too many issues. Body Slam, there's Hammer, Rampart, Blizzaja. Thankfully we guard. There's Blizzaja again. Even if they could hurt me, Anyas and Ring a Bell are immune to ice damage, so these little spheres aren't doing too much to us. We're gonna have Anyas go ahead and start up her singing to get everyone's BP back up on the field. We're gonna re-up Rampart, and then we'll go ahead and re-up Fairy's Ward. Now, unfortunately, Sloth is not mitigated by Fairy's Ward, but I want to go ahead and put it up just in case, because it's better safe than sorry. Thundaja, Body Slam, unfortunately crits. Just don't hit ED again, please. There's Sloth. So we're gonna have to re-up Enigma. Again, we're going to have Idia attack Belphegor. This is probably my least favorite fight of the bunch, just because it just slow. The pacing is so slow. Obviously, there are better ways of battling this guy, but in terms of being consistent, this is pretty much the best you're gonna get. We're gonna have Tiz go ahead and Brave here, and then we're gonna have him do a... I guess I could probably do a half elixir. Yeah, that'll fully heal her. And then we're gonna have Ring a Bell apply Enigma. That way we do not have any issues. Oh, we got the item critical there. Doesn't really matter because it still heals for maximum, but good to know. Unfortunately, if you use BP up and then you started acting, you still end up spending that amount of BP, which means it's kind of a waste. But really, this wasn't for Ring a Bell or Idia. It was mostly for Tiz. Blizzaja. We're going to speed things up here from this point onward, as we've seen everything that we can for this encounter. And we're only just a little past halfway. Again, this fight is a bit of a slow burn. Blizzaga, Thundaga. We're going to have Tiz just re-up Rampart again. We're going to have Ring a Bell cast Enigma on everyone and then heal up. We're almost there. Enigma. I think one more round of magic should do it after this. Yeah, one more round. 17,000 HP. Thankfully, the spheres will go away once you have killed Belphegor. He's the main target, which is why I've kind of ignored the spheres. We do not need to worry about Rampart. We can just default here. So that's why I haven't worked on the spheres at all yet, because I've been focusing primarily on Belphegor. Okay, they've broken through our stuff, and we got the Sloth stuff, but because the spheres aren't very strong, they aren't that big of a deal. Then we're going to cast Blizzaga, and then Thundaga, and then Firaga again. Yep, alright, cool. And then we're going to have Tiz cast Rampart, Ringabel cast Kiaraga, but we should be done. And whenever you kill him, he falls on his chair. Oh, I guess you do have to kill the spheres. Never mind. So, this next battle requires us to go back to our tried and true Idea Ninja combo. Sword, magic, ninjutsu. You know, the drill, frenetic fighting, Hawkeye, and precision. Even with superpowered stats like I have, this job combo is easily one of the most reliable. Amano Murakumo, Mitsuno Kami, the Ribbon, Brave Suit, and Flame Charm. Flame Charm is going to be the main gimmick of this next setup, as if you have this on every single party member, it completely invalidates the Firaja that the next boss has. So Anyas is staying on Performer with Mimic, but Tiz is going on to Vampire with Holy Arts. Again, he'll mostly be spamming Rampart, but he might throw the occasional curse here and there. BP limit up, 20% speed up, two-handed and axler, so his foxtail is wielded much better, is the main idea with this setup. Make him go super fast, and he can set up Rampart and his debuffs without much issue. Ringabel is still in the same job combination, Spiritism, White Magic, Holy One, Default Guard, BP limit up, and Magic Critical. Again, mostly to allow him to utilize stuff like Fairy's Ward, Fairy's Aid, Enigma, stuff like that, without much issue. I also used dual shields for Anyas here, to allow her to cover as much defense as possible, just in case things go wrong. She is very tanky. So, let's meet our third encounter, shall we? Third is Beelzebub, the king of gluttony. And I think he fits gluttony pretty well. He's got those rows of teeth, and he's got the tentacles to grab as much food as he can stuff his head, gullet with. Where's his stomach? If he's gluttony, where's his stomach? You know what? I'm not gonna ask questions. Beelzebub's main gimmick is debuffing your party, dealing crazy fire damage, and hitting you very hard with physical attacks that will, again, debuff you. He has one extra thing that he can do, but the main idea here is to completely mitigate his fire damage with fire charms, and then setting up your team to deal with his physical attacks as much as humanly possible. We'll get to his other gimmick when we get to it. First things first, though, we're gonna have Anyas. We actually do want to have Anyas go ahead and set up my hero here, because we are going to be constantly spamming Rampart in this encounter. As, again, our biggest threat here is physical attacks, and Rampart is the most consistent way of constantly giving our team a way of dealing with Beelzebub's physical attacks. Beelzebub never braves, and so he only attacks once per turn. We're going to use that to our advantage here. We're also going to utilize Fairy Ward to mitigate any elements that he might throw at us here. Gonna speed things up. And hopefully we're faster. There's tentacles. Ideally, we're faster than him throughout the entire encounter, so we don't need to ever really worry about this. Beelzebub, similar to Asmodeus, has two weaknesses, Lightning and Earth. Take advantage of one of those and you'll be good. I'm going with Lightning, as Sword Magic does not cover Earth. We're going to have Anyas default here. We're going to have Tiz Brave and use Rampart, but I think I'm also going to have him go ahead and curse Beelzebub, just so we can get that extra damage out on him. Ringabel is going to use Fairy's Aid to increase Idea's magical attack. This is mostly to help the magical side of the damage calculations for Sword Magic. She's still going to be doing crazy damage regardless, but the Fairy's Aid will definitely help. It'll make sure that she guaranteed does maximum damage, as Beelzebub has a lot of physical defense and magical defense, so we want to be able to bypass that without much issue. We saw the Octo Whip there. That is Beelzebub's physical attack on all targets. We want to make sure that he never can hit us with that reliably, so of course we're going to be spamming Rampart constantly in this encounter. Ringabel's here to mostly apply Fairy's Aid and Fairy's Ward, along with healing if need be. Idia's going to be constantly doing damage, as she was for the previous encounters, and Beelzebub will slowly go down. We should be reaching Beelzebub's other gimmick here fairly soon. I'm going to have Idia and Anyas default this turn. Rampart, and we'll re-up Fairy Ward. There we go. I'm I'm going to try and avoid utilizing the My Hero strategy whenever Anya only has 0 BP. That way, I don't have to wait a turn without her. I can just, if I default, not only will she take less damage, but also I don't have to wait that extra turn. We're gonna go ahead and re-up Fairy's Aid on Adia. Hopefully, Beelzebub does not outspeed me here. That would be very bad. Nope, alright, cool. We got Adia's attack out, which is exactly what I want. Okay. Gluttony. This is his other gimmick. Of course, he is the king of gluttony after all. So, Beelzebub from this point onward now absorbs any attack you throw at him for its full damage. Now, after a certain amount of turns, Beelzebub will unleash this shield as damage, which will be called Acid Breath. The potency of this attack is based on how much HP he drains from you. It starts off already pretty powerful, but if he continues to drain more damage from you, it'll get stronger and stronger. However, there's only so much food that one can eat, and that applies to Beelzebub as well. If you were to constantly throw attacks at him, bypassing 100,000 damage over the course of a few turns, his Gluttony Shield will just pop and completely destroy his HP bar, dealing a lot of damage. I'm not going to go for this, as I'm a little scared about damage variance, and Beelzebub can end this shield at random intervals, so I actually don't know how many turns I have to deal the damage that I need to. And since Adia is my only damage dealer, I'm actually not going to worry about this at all, and I'm going to play very safe here. The Beelzebub still attacks while in this form, so you need to be ready to deal with that. Use this time to buff yourself up and heal up if you need be. I just want to say real quick, this has nothing really to do with the fight itself, but whenever I was younger, and for most of my life until just a few years ago, I always called Beelzebub Beelzebub. I don't know if I'm the only person that ever did that, but I don't know. I find the name Beelzebub pretty funny. I thought it fit the weird octopus blob guy thing that we're fighting here. We're gonna have Anya set up My Hero. And there we go. If you want to see what it looks like when you pop his bubble, I'll go ahead and put a piece of gameplay on screen right now. But again, I will not be worrying about that this time around, so we're going to be just playing this safe and waiting for him to spew Acid Breath without any issue. There's tentacles, we can speed things up. The unfortunate thing is that Beelzebub does not normally Brave unless you bring in Haste and World, so we are kind of stuck just waiting for this to end naturally. We're going to reapply Fairy's Aid early here. There's tentacles again. Again, default. We're going to cast My Hero. And hopefully we can move on afterwards. My Hero. This basically allows Tiz to constantly spam Rampart without any issue. There's Acid Breath. Okay, his shield is now down. After Acid Breath is thrown, regardless if you took any damage or not, your physical and magical defenses are lowered. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's a physical attack, so you technically can dodge it with Transience and Utsusemi. But I really don't see any reason to do that, so I'm not worrying about it. We're going to use Rampart here and speed things up, and hopefully he goes down here fairly soon. His HP isn't all that high. Yeah, there we go. Nice. And that's our battle with Beelzebub down. Completely unscathed. The fact that you can kind of go about this fight any way you want due to how his Gluttony Shield works is pretty cool. And since you have to deal with either his physical attacks or magical attacks, and you can kind of pick and choose which one you want to go against based on what gear and setup you bring, is also pretty cool. Honestly, I think Beelzebub is probably the easiest out of the bunch, which goes to show, like, okay, what's next, right? For beating him, we got the Mind Bun and Dexterity Bun. And yes, before you ask and say anything, yes, I technically did go out of alphabetical order. Because Belphegor and Asmodeus use the same team composition, I didn't exactly want to swap in between them constantly. So yeah, go ahead, sue me. Now, for this next boss, I would highly recommend you have a decent balance of both physical and magical attackers. So I have swapped Tiz over to Freelancer, and thanks to its specialty Late Bloomer, it's pretty much good at almost everything, being a pretty solid choice for a magical attacker thanks to its high MP, but also high HP pool. And I have given him Time Magic, not only for the utility of like Quake and Hastiga, but also for Meteor, which will be my main attack tool for magic attacks. I've given him the Phantom Weapon and Axe build, along with the Foxtail. And in terms of the accessories to equip on your team here, honestly, I would suggest on the weakest party members to give them the Ice Charm. I'm going to be giving this to my 2 attackers, as they are obviously going to be the weakest in terms of defense. Everyone else, though, the Ice Flame Shield works wonders here as well. And for if you do not have enough charms, you can go buy more at Heart's Child, or you can give them something like a magical defense increase, like a Barrier Shroud or Mage Shell. Anything that nullifies death, like a safety ring, is also not a bad idea. So I'm going to be giving that to Agnes. We're going from the B's straight to the L's. This is Leviathan, the representation of envy. And it's a bunch of snakes, again, kind of similar to Asmodeus. So, Leviathan has a few tricks up its sleeve. First things first, it has 2 main modes. The first mode that you see right here is completely immune to physical attacks. It will evade them, and is only able to be damaged by magical attacks. So that's why I suggested you have a decent balance. I'll still be setting up with Idea as a physical attacker, but she will not be attacking just yet. In terms of any other gimmick that Leviathan has, Leviathan specializes in water damage, which is why I suggested bringing the Ice Charms, or Ice Flame Shield, or anything that mitigates magical damage as much as possible. If you want Blizzaja for the vampire, this is a good fight to get it from. Leviathan also has access to a bunch of dread and instant kill abilities, but we'll get to that in a second whenever it's, something that can happen. So my main plan here when it comes to magic attack is to utilize Meteor with Tiz and just mimic it so it has less MP cost. And then Ring-a-Bell is going to immediately apply Fairy Ward, or I guess technically you could apply Enigma, but I'm going to not do that. I'm going to apply Fairy Ward. Here we go, my hero spam. The reason why I'm going to be avoiding Enigma and anything that has a huge amount of BP requirements is because similar to Belphegor, Leviathan can completely mitigate your stats and your buffs, and will replace them with debuffs. Envy is Leviathan's main gimmick, which will replace your buffs with debuffs, lowering your physical and magic attack and defense by 25%. This really isn't all that big of a deal, but it is fairly annoying. You can technically dispel this on your team, but I really don't see the reason to do that. Just be careful. I think what I'm going to do instead is just do Greater Spirit Ward, so I can reduce the damage for, it would be Ring-a-Bell and Agnes, I think. Or just Ring-a-Bell, actually. Blizzaja. There we go. There we go. Now that I resist stuff, we'll be okay. Actually, yeah, so basically it removed our immunities, and I just put on resist, which is fine. Idea, again, can only default. We're gonna spam my hero, and we'll be going on the offense here. As long as you can mitigate Blizzaja's insane damage, you'll be okay here. Just do some chip damage with your magic attackers while Leviathan is in this stance, and you'll be okay. We're gonna have Ring-a-Bell top everyone else off with Kirata. Spam my hero. There we go. Agnes, you'll get something else to do here in a little bit. Even without the, even with the debuff, we're still doing maximum damage because Meteor's just that strong. Just quite useful. There isn't a super duper powered up version of Leviathan, so we are technically fighting the normal version of him on hard mode. So he doesn't have any, like, super crazy stats or what have you. We're gonna have Ring a Bell, I guess because we're dealing with Blizzaja. I will go ahead and Enigma here just so we don't have to continuously Kirata. That might save us BP later down the road. Magic Resist form. Man, the representation of Envy, I am very envious of that design. This is a really, really weird look for Leviathan. I mean, Leviathan is usually considered to be a giant serpent, so the snakes make sense. But the UFO kind of design, I mean, maybe in certain cultures, Leviathan is considered to be extraterrestrial, but who knows? So, in this form, Leviathan's weaknesses have swapped. Instead of being focused on where you need to do magic damage to Leviathan, now you need to do physical damage to Leviathan. Sword magic still applies here, so you're free to use sword magic. But the reason why I put Tiz on Time Mage is that whenever he's not attacking, I can apply Quick. Fairy's Ward is still applicable, so we're okay here. The idea here is now to do as much damage as humanly possible with your physical attackers. Honestly, if you're feeling brave, you can bring an extra attacker along. The Last Light. That's a very, very powerful magic attack. Leviathan is pretty dangerous while it's on the ground, so we'll have to be careful here. Again, because Tiz is Time Mage, I'm actually going to go ahead and apply Re-Raise to every single member of the team. There we go. And then Ring a Bell, we need to reapply our Fairy Ward, and we're also going to heal everyone up. There we go. I'm afraid that Leviathan might outspeed me, but I think I'll be okay. Yeah, I'm okay. We're going to be hoping for critical hits here. Even with a high hit count, Leviathan's damage is still really powerful. His defense is still really high, so the damage output here is still not going to be the greatest. Again, hard mode, all of these Nemesis bosses have a crap load of defense, so getting past it is pretty difficult. I'm going to Ring a Bell, just go ahead and heal up everyone again. But honestly, like, this fight will go much faster than the others anyways, so I'm okay taking my time here, as Tiz will do maximum damage in the air, and Idea is pretty much doing the same amount of damage Tiz was doing. And thankfully, she's attacking every turn, which is quite useful. I guess for Tiz, we can go ahead and cast Haste on everyone. There we go. And then Ring a Bell, we're going to have him default right now. I'm worried that I'm going to get jumped by an attack that I'm not prepared for, but hopefully that doesn't happen. High altitude. Okay, so he's back up into the air, and again, magic attacks are now the only thing that hurts him. We're going to cast my hero, not Zero Sum, do not want to do that. And we're going to go back on the offense with Tiz. Yeah, let's go ahead and start throwing some meteors at him. And with Ring a Bell, let's see here. We'll go ahead and cast Enigma, I guess. Oh, he's braving a lot there. Fairy's Ward might not come in handy here. What's he gonna do? Hopefully Meteor's maybe just enough to kill. Maybe? Nah, okay, he'll slow down here. Envy, okay, he's gonna remove all of our buffs, unfortunately. We still have Fairy's Ward, though. Agnes will live here without a doubt. Okay, cool. That actually wasn't too bad. We're gonna have Idea re-up her Thundaga. Okay, so what was the damage here? We lost access to Enigma, which sucks. But we have speed increase, which is nice. And we still have Fairy's Ward, so that's cool too. The reason why I have Fairy's Ward is that Leviathan has an ability called Consume Life, which has a chance, which does quite a bit of damage, and also has a chance of instant killing party members. So having the ability to remove instant death from the equation is pretty useful. We're gonna have Ring a Bell go ahead and just Kyuraga everyone. Leviathan does like to brave whenever he goes on the offense, which means you have a lot of time to recover. So use that time wisely. We're gonna use Idea to default here. Actually, I might apply an Into Semi real quick, just in case the weaker form of Leviathan, the lower form of Leviathan decides to come back down and physical attack Idea. She can at least dodge that. Tiz can go on the offense here. We're going to cast Meteor and then immediately mimic it. And then Ring a Bell. We'll have him cast Enigma because we're going to be getting that extra BP anyways. There we go. Perfect. He's a semi, meteor. Maybe he dies here? I have no clue. Obviously, I don't have eyes on Leviathan's HP, but it's not all that high. I don't know. Let's take a look. We can examine him. We'll examine Leviathan with Tiz. There we go. And then Ring a Bell, we're going to default. Leviathan can act. Okay, we hit 126,000 HP out of 405,000 HP. Okay, we're back on the ground. We're going to send Idia straight at him. Gonna have Anya set up for more BP. Very powerful BP battery here. We're gonna have Tiz cast Quick on Idia. And then Ring a Bell, we need to reapply Fairy Ward. Oh yeah, yep, there. Leviathan's going for the offense here. I doubt we kill him this turn, obviously, but we are getting pretty close. My hero. We did lose our re-raise, which sucks, but that'll be okay. Fairy Ward. Blast Light, does a lot of damage. Missed Idia, there's Consume Life. Okay, just killed Tiz with damage. Killed Ring a Bell with damage too, but that's okay. Leviathan again is in the negative, so we are okay to go on the offense here. We're gonna have Agnes. No, I don't want to summon a friend. We're gonna have her bring everyone back. And then we'll just end her turn there. Yeah, we'll end her turn there. Idia's gonna be doing quite a bit of damage anyways. We might be able to finish him off next turn. Yeah, 49,000 HP. Yeah, we can definitely finish him off this turn. That was definitely not the cleanest fight I've had. Just in case, though, I am going to cast Re-Raise on everyone. Because there is a small chance that stuff's going to go really bad here fast. But Idia goes first, so I think we win here. Nope, we do not. He has 2,000 HP left. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? 2,000 HP left. Crap. Okay, well, then let's just throw a Zeus's Wrath at him or something. I don't know. Zeus's Wrath. No, that wasn't enough. High altitude. All right, Tiz, finish it off with a meteor spam. Go get him. And there we go. Leviathan is down. Yeah, that fight's pretty cool. We did not get a bun, unfortunately. Well, it sucks. But this fight's pretty cool. I like it. The fact that... Oh, voice crack there. The fact that you have to kind of build for both physical and magical damage is pretty cool. You can technically run Pierce Magic Defense and just run magic attackers because the boss cannot evade magic attack and just has a lot of magical defense while on the ground. You can just spam magic attacks if you have Pierce Magic Defense. So, bring a bunch of magic attackers and just go ham. It's definitely a viable strategy. I just didn't want to do that because that's not really how the fight was intended, in my opinion. So having the nice balance was something I wanted to do. So that's 4 down, 3 to go, and these next 3 fights, in my opinion, are without a doubt the hardest of the 7 sins. And because of that, and for the fact that I don't want this video to go on for 2 hours, I am going to be employing some very interesting strategies that are a little bit more on the cheese side of things. So, looking at our new build, we're running 2 Dark Knights, a Performer, and a Spirit Master. Now, the Dark Knights are built the exact same, running Sword Magic, Bow Lore, Speed 10% up, Gloom, Sword Magic Amp, and Drain Attack up. The Bow Lore and the Speed 10% up are gonna make a little bit more sense here soon. Agnes is running Hasten World and Speed 30% up, while having Singing and Miscellany still. She's also running the Foxtail and Hermes shoes to increase her agility as much as humanly possible. Ring a Bell is on Spirit Master still, running White Magic, though he is now using Speed 10% up and BP Limit up, which, I mean, he technically was still using BP Limit up, but Speed 10% up is a big thing. Each of my characters are running at least some kind of speed increase. And in terms of their accessories, Hermes shoes, Hermes shoes, Hermes shoes, and sandals. The biggest thing, if we take our attention to the bottom screen, is making sure our agility is really, really, really high. Because unfortunately, the enemy that we're going up against has up to 150 agility. Now, obviously that requires it buffing itself, but the fact that it can get up to 150 agility means that there's almost no way we can outspeed it, so we have to make a strategy that is based around the fact that there's a good chance that we cannot outspeed the boss under certain circumstances. So, we create a strategy that will allow us to kill the boss as safely as possible, and hopefully as quickly as possible. So without too much dawdling, I'm gonna go ahead and save up, and let's get on to this 5th boss. Uncloaking himself, this is the representation of pride, Lucifer. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the more tricky encounters to deal with. And honestly, if you're going to choose any of the encounters here in this session, this is the one I would suggest. So, Lucifer's main gimmick is basically removing all of your buffs and replacing them with his own buffs. He doesn't like you buffing your team up, so I will be refraining from doing that. You can either just not buff your team at all, or you can be constantly buffing your team over and over and over again to where Lucifer cannot keep up. Other than that, Lucifer is the prime means of obtaining the spell Erosia for the vampire. Also, Lucifer has powerful physical attacks, so we have a lot to deal with. However, I want to make a quick note. The reason why I gave my Dark Knights bows is because Lucifer is counted as a flying enemy, so we get that extra damage increase from flying damage from the bows to do against flying enemies. Our strategy here is actually going to be quite simple. And honestly, if there weren't a few little caveats here, I could technically auto-battle this. But let me go ahead and set this up before I talk about it. We're going to set this up, we're going to do a few Braves with our Dark Knights, and then we're going to have Ring a Bell cast Stillness. So, real quick, our Dark Knights are going to be using Drain and then 2 Rages. Agnes will be casting My Hero and mimicking it, which will give back the BP our Dark Knights are about to use. Ringable will be casting Stillness to mitigate as much damage as possible from Lucifer. Basically, the way this works is that Hasten World is going to allow us to constantly loop this strategy. If Lucifer decides to apply buffs to himself, we have Ringabel here with the spell, thanks to white magic, to get rid of those. Hopefully, this all works out perfectly fine, and unfortunately, Lucifer has a crap load of HP. We'll examine him here in a second, but get ready to hear this sound a lot, because a Dark Bane spamming with Rage is pretty much how we're going to deal with this guy. Thanks to the bow and drain attack increases, this damage is pretty consistent. Unless he defaults, which Lucifer is known to do, we shouldn't have too many issues. Unfortunately, he outsped most of us here with that, but thankfully 1 mode down is perfectly fine. If we had any less HP, though, we would have been toast. Thankfully, though, we have Stillness here. And thanks to Hasten World, we can start repairing our team here. Though the general idea, again, is to basically spam My Hero to get our team back into a healthy state, cast Mimic to get rid of that, and we'll go ahead and examine Lucifer just so we have access to watching his HP go down. Ring a Bell, really the only thing we can really do with this current turn is to cast Kiraga to hopefully heal our team up a little bit more. Lucifer is going to be Braving here, which is never a good sign. Examine. He has 675,000 HP. Yeah, we have a lot of HP to get through. Now, whenever your Dark Knights have access to Drain, and which means they don't need to reapply it, you can just immediately cast Rage a few times and go straight into the battle. You don't have to re-up Drain. Now, obviously, Lucifer can remove Drain, and if 10 turns pass, you'll have to re-up it, so keep an eye on your casters. Okay, so we just saw the main gimmick of Lucifer in this hardest difficulty. Every single time he defaults, he applies Slow and Steady, which will boost his speed by 50%. This is whenever, pretty much, unless you downed a crap load of buns on each of your party members, Lucifer's gonna outspeed you. So, the plan is, during Stillness, which will happen next turn, we just immediately dispel that effect, making it to where our speed is back to normal against him. Defaulting Lucifer, honestly, because of how many damage multipliers are in our favor, the chances of Lucifer taking any less damage than 9,000 is pretty low. So we are free to just take advantage of this. There's Stillness. We're going to have on, yes. Go ahead and cast My Hero and Mimic. And then we're going to have Ring a Bell just to go down here and cast a spell. Lucifer is going again with Slow and Steady. That's fine, because we can just get rid of his buffs altogether. We're watching the Drain. Nothing bad's happening with that just yet. I'm going to cast My Hero, Mimic, use Rage, and then have Ring a Bell cast not the spell. Do not do that. You want to make sure everything is in order. Okay. This is a very, very delicate strategy. I haven't beaten this guy, quote-unquote, legitimately before, but it was about an hour-and-a-half long encounter, and I didn't think that would have made for a very interesting video. So I'm doing this strategy here. And besides, we have 2 more bosses to get through, and this guy is tanky. But really, this is pretty much it. Unfortunately, I missed the Stillness right there. That happens, but it's not a big deal. We can heal up Tiz here in a second. But this is pretty much it. There's Arrogance, which removes any buffs that you may have had, including Drain, and will replace them with his own buffs. Just dispel these during Stillness and you'll be okay. But I mean, other than that, this is pretty much it. So I think I'll just go ahead and see you at the end of this encounter. Oh my gosh, finally, dude. He has so much health. Oh. Hey, it's done. Cool. Awesome. We can move on. For beating Lucifer, we got 1 strength bun. Yay, I guess. So for the 6th nemesis on our list, we're pretty much going to be employing the same strategy. Same setup and whatnot. The only major difference is that we have Night Emperors on our Dark Knights now, as the extra bow damage is not really going to matter all that much. You can, but I wanted to see how much damage I can deal without needing the aerial bonus. It does work. The next boss is also flying, but I wanted to see how much damage I could do normally. This next boss, in my opinion, and for me personally, has always been the one that gave me the most trouble. So I am very excited to completely destroy it right now. So, let's get into it. And so, the representation of Avarice, Mammon, is our next opponent. This fight, in my opinion, is without a doubt the hardest of the 7, mostly because not only does Mammon have access to Slow and Steady, similar to Lucifer, but also Mammon has means of stealing your BP and then spending all of its BP against you. And honestly, if this boss is able to get going, there's pretty much nothing you can do to stop it. Ideally, though, we get lucky and Mammon never really starts up. Thankfully, this strategy is kind of a double-edged sword. While Lucifer we could play very safe, there actually is a way for us to kind of screw over Mammon utilizing Stillness if we get the ability to. Now our Dark Knight's going to be building up Adversity here, which will boost their attack power quite a bit. And we saw that Mammon just defaulted right there and gained Slow and Steady. That'll be something we need to worry about. We're going to dispel that with Ring a Bell before things get too out of hand. Mammon is no stranger to defaulting and then spending all of its BP to attack you. If you want to use the Performer's Zero Sum, you can. That's another way of kind of lessening the threats, but unfortunately I'm kind of on a bit of a tight schedule when it comes to using my BP, so I might have to skip out on that. But I am going to use an extra BP here to not only use this, I'm actually going to use this extra time to use Love Rush on our party, because now I don't have any risk of taking damage. Oh, going for another speed boost. Okay, thankfully we have the spell, so we don't have to worry about that. And also we have Love Rush now, so we should be guaranteed faster. 155, 161, 216, 161. Yeah, that should be more than enough to outspeed Mammon in their current state. We're gonna go ahead and Stillness. Mammon's going for the full Brave here. Now, hopefully, Mammon goes for Avarice, which is its main gimmick here, which will steal BP from every party member and give it to Mammon. But if you use Stillness and Mammon does not steal any BP, because Avarice takes BP to use, you basically screw over Mammon and put them immediately into the negative, allowing you to have some free turns. That's the hope, at least. Mammon has 675,000 HP, the exact same as hard mode Lucifer. So we're gonna be here for a while. If we can showcase every last thing Mammon has here, we can just skip around. Blizzaja, if you want that for the vampire, there you go. Death Claws, one more attack. Avarice, there we go. 0 BP. Mammon gets no extra BP, which means Mammon is kind of screwed over. Of course, Hasten World does bring Mammon back into the positive a little bit, faster, but that's not really that big of a deal. Ring a bell. We're gonna have you default, my friend. There we go. We do not have to worry about Drain going away just yet, so we're going to play this safe with our Dark Knights. Do we still have the speed buff? We do. Okay, so we have a fairly decent chance. Mammon's going for the default again. We do not get any rages this turn because Ring a Bell somehow outsped both of my attackers. I mean, their speed is only a bit 6 apart, so yeah, that's understandable. But I didn't really want to lower Ring a Bell's speed any more than I already had, or else I might run into problems later, so I decided to just bite the bullet. And again, if Ring a Bell goes before our attackers, it's not really that huge of a loss. It just means that I don't deal damage that turn, which is okay with me. As long as I don't die, I'm okay with that. We have a few things we need to do here. We need to Brave and dispel Mammon's speed bonus, and we also need to heal up our party just a little bit so that they can actually rage. Here's Blizzaja, Death Claws, Avarice? Yes! Putting Mammon back into the negative, we get a whole extra turn to wail into Mammon without any issue, which is really, really nice. Honestly, can I get an extra one? I doubt it. Actually, maybe. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can get an extra rage, for sure. We'll do my hero, plus a mimic. I guess we should probably also examine Mammon so we know exactly where we are in terms of HP. Might be useful. Rage 3 times. And do I want to try Stillnessing here? No, I'm gonna default with Ring a Bell here, actually. Okay, so we're about halfway through. But I mean, we've seen pretty much everything there is to show with this encounter. So honestly, I might just see you later after this. Will I get a third one? Nope, I won't. That's okay. I miscounted the BP charge, which is fine with me, honestly. Still, two rounds of rage is still a lot of damage. So I'll go ahead and see you at the end of this encounter. Actually, right there is Mammon's final move, Stat Leech. Basically, it's AoE absorb stats from the vampire. All of your stats get lowered by a certain percentage and go to Mammon for 50%. It's pretty much Lucifer's Pride, but with extra steps. Still nothing really all that important. You can just immediately dispel all of those buffs, so don't be too afraid of them. Alright, almost dead. Next turn. Oh, wait, no, I kill it right now. I kill him right now. Hey, come on, Idia. Come on, please. No! 495 HP! No! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 495? No. Whatever. I mean, okay. Just one more round of rage. Still, that depresses me. It makes me really sad. We almost had it. We're just gonna set up. I'm going to play this very safe. Come on. Come on, Adia, finish her off. Yeah! Woo! Oh, I love that you can screw over that boss so hard with stillness. It's so nice. Woo! Unscathed, too. Wow. Okay, that's about as much mileage as we're gonna get out of this strategy, though. The next fight, eesh! HP booster bun for this one. Nice. So for this final nemesis, we have made another job adjustment, moving Idia and Tiz over to Freelancer. Agnes and Ringabella are going to be staying the exact same from the previous two encounters, but let's take a look at Idia and Tiz. Their stats are exactly the same, so we'll just take a quick look at Idia. So she is going to be running Time Magic as her sub-job, running two-handed, speed 10% up, and Pierce Magic Defense. Same with Tiz. And their weapons, this strategy that I'm running will require at least 3 Foxtails, 2 on the attackers and 1 on Agnes as our performer buffer. In terms of the rest of the gear, nothing has really changed, though if you want to, you can run a gold hairpin instead of the ribbon, just because Meteor does cost 99 MP, so you're free to do so if you want. But basically the general strategy is to pretty much just replace the rage spamming with Meteor and Mimic spamming, as the boss that we're going up against has maximum physical defense and also does not like physical attacks in general. And so we needed to figure out a way to deal magic damage fairly consistently. And I learned my lesson from Belphegor. I should probably have 2 magical attackers. So let's go ahead and get it started. Our final sin to confront is Satan, the representation of wrath. Satan has the built-in support ability, Revenge. Every single time you deal damage to Satan, there's a chance that it will give it extra BP. And something about Satan I want to mention. If you get Satan to 3 BP, which if you're using Hasten World and you're attacking Satan is going to happen without a doubt, Satan will pretty much immediately wipe your party if you do not have Stillness applied, as Satan's main gimmick is his Battle Blades, tier 1 through 4. Battle Blade 1 acts as similar to Shipu Jinrai, being a powerful physical attack that goes off at the very beginning of the turn. Battle Blade 2 and 3 are AoE physical attacks. Basically, Battle Blade 2 exists to remove your Utsusemis, and Battle Blade 3 is to deal a lot of physical damage to you. Battle Blade 4 is pretty much 10,000 damage to all party members without much issue, meaning that even if you do have as much HP as I do, with the combined Battle Blades 1 through 4, your entire team is going to go down, even with defense buffs. So, basically the strategy is to either not let Satan's BP reach 3 charges through the means of like Zero Sum or something similar to that, or by employing Stillness to make sure that doesn't happen. There is one other gimmick that is based around that Satan has, which is based around his sin, which is Wrath, and that is basically AoE Berserk, which means we'll need to apply Fairy's Ward pretty quickly. But honestly, this fight is either going to go really poorly or really well. It honestly depends on the first few turns. Satan's AI is pretty clever, and he uses his BP wisely, so unfortunately outsmarting him is kind of off the table, so we just kind of have to have a good first few turns here to kind of set up momentum. Meteor with Pierce Magic Defense will do maximum damage without any issue, and the Foxtails here aren't really there to be like powerful magic weapons. They're mostly here to just give us extra speed. There's Slash, that's just a regular attack. But Satan is already at 3 BP, so he's probably going to start spamming his Battle Blades here soon. During the Stillness downtime turns, I'm going to have Idia haste everyone in the party. I'm going to have Agnes, actually just default for right now, and I'm going to have Tiz constantly slow down Satan. Unfortunately, even in the battle of speed, just going off of my current base speed against Satan's base speed, I will almost always lose whenever it really matters. So speeding up my party and slowing down Satan is pretty much a mandatory thing. Also, during the downtime, I'll be utilizing Fairy Ward to keep our mitigation against Berserk as up as often as possible. I guess for Agnes, I'll go ahead and examine Satan this turn, just so we know exactly what we're up against. There's Satan defaulting. Once again, he has access to slow and steady, which means that he'll be going super fast next turn. This is when things get a little hairy. Satan now has 158 speed versus our 210. Honestly, the most important one is Ringabel, who has 186. There's still a small chance that Satan will go first, and his first Battle Blade will absolutely go first. But hopefully, our speed will be high enough, at least on Ringabel, to where we can at least outlive the three Battle Blades afterward. The first Battle Blade does about 7,000 damage if you do not have any buffs or debuffs equipped. So just making sure that my team is healthy is more than enough to really take down, ruin the danger of the first Battle Blade. No, he's going for a regular attack. Or is he going for like a standard regular Battle Blade? Losing out on Meteor this turn is honestly okay with me. I'm going to dispel his speed anyways next turn. What is he going for? Slash? No, he's going for Wrath. Okay, well, thankfully, Fairy Ward is in play, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to, again, re-up our haste with Idia. We'll go ahead and just default with Agnes. We're going to slow down Satan with Tiz. And we're going to, I guess, re-up Fairy Ward this turn. Okay, there we go. Battle Blade 1. These animations are really cool. So let's go ahead and see them. Sloga. Battle Blade 1 again is always first. Battle Blade 2 and 3, and Battle Blade 4. Again, if you're taking that damage to the face, you're probably not going to live. So just be careful. Now, using all the Battle Blades does take up most of his BP, but because we have Haste and World equipped, he's going to be starting with 1 extra BP every single turn, which means the chances of him immediately going back into the Battle Blade spamming is pretty high. We need to be worried. We need to keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and spam some more Meteors here, though. And then ring a bell. Yeah, we need to get Stillness back up. There we go. Okay, he's going for defaulting, which is slow and steady. But that shouldn't be too big of an issue. Unfortunately, ring a bell is going first. I have almost 30 agility on him, and somehow he's still going first. That is just horrible luck. It is really, really crappy luck. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and speed things up here. Agnes, I really don't know what to do with you, Agnes. I guess I can... If somehow he's defaulting, I guess I'll increase our magic attack. I honestly really don't know what to do with her right now. We'll go ahead and slow down the boss. And we will dedicate a few turns here. We're going to do we're going to re-up Fairy's Ward, and we're also going to dispel the speed bonus. Which, good thing I did that, because he's going to be going into his blade attacks next turn. There we go, Fairy's Ward, dispel. Nice, nice, nice. We do not want to cast Haste a bunch of times. We're going to cast Meteor. Unfortunately, this fight's kind of similar to Belphegor in that it forces you to play slower. There's really not much you can do with just magic comps other than like spamming Meteor and Mimic. So the pace of this fight kind of slows down after a little while. But hopefully, like, we can... Oh, okay, there's the first Battle Blade, 8,000 damage, that's about right. Okay, we got at least one set of Meteors off first. You know, I'll take it. We get another set? Alright, cool. We got all 8 Meteor attacks done in one turn. Good to know. And then Stillness, and then we get to watch the cool, awesome Battle Blade animations. Easily one of my favorites. Satan's design is probably my favorite of all 7 bosses. It's either that or Leviathan's UFO form. But, man, I love this design. It's so freaking cool. Once again, we're going to go ahead and just re-up our stats. There's really not much else to show here. It's kind of just... We're just going to be kind of on loop here now. I guess I'll just end my turn here. So, honestly, if anything else interesting happens during this encounter, I'll go ahead and showcase it, but other than that, I guess I'll see you at the end of the fight. Meteor, come on, Tiz, come on. Alright, that's not enough. Idiot, come on. No, the stillness. Okay, but it's okay. We're playing safe. I'd rather play safe than lose. Almost there, guys. Almost there. This one has been just a little terrifying, but we'll make it. We'll make it. The battle of speed. That's pretty much it. It's terrifying though. If he ever outsped me once without stillness, I was dead. That's insane. What a fight, man. And that's all 7 sins defeated. Whoa! Had to pull out all the stops with these, and with Satan defeated, we obtained the Unearthly Bun, that's the bun that increases every single stat all at once. All right, that is everything about that I wanted to cover with Norende Village. From the previous episode and this one, that's it. Obviously, there are still fights left to do in Norende Village, but I don't have access to any of them because I could only hold 7 Nemesis bosses. And because there are 7 Deadly Sins bosses, I wanted to give them priority as they're kind of a group. But with the bosses, with the Nemesis bosses defeated, we can kind of just bid farewell to Norende Village. We've seen everything that the village can give us in terms of items, armor, costumes, accessories, consumables, and whatnot. And also the bosses that we can fight there. So, next time on Bravely Default, we aren't completely done just yet. There are a few things that I missed throughout the playthrough that I want to go ahead and make mention of. There are a few little details that I purposely omitted that I want to go back and show off. And there is still a lot of little things that I want to make mention of, and I need a little bit of a gameplay to really show off what I'm talking about. And so basically what I'm saying is that next time on Bravely Default, we're going to be starting New Game Plus, as it has some pretty interesting features tied to it. So, with that said, I'll see you soon.